One trade can change everything.
Hello everybody, today we're going to do a very brief overview of my risk management tool. If you don't understand some of the things or some of the terms I'm talking about, please watch my 2 other tutorials on risk management. I get into more detail as to how some of this stuff works and why the tool is built the way that it is, and but I'm not going to do that here. Here I'm just going to show you where to put the values, how it works, a very brief overview of basically just how to use it, right? Okay, cool. First things first, we have to get it downloaded. So we'll go ahead and go over to my website, memorylock.io, and go ahead and click the key, which is where I have all of my tutorials. You can see we have the beginner setup, risk management, indicators and tools, patterns, Fibonacci, and more to come, right? I update this every week with new material. So we'll go ahead and click risk management. And here you'll find those other 2 videos that I was telling you about. And this one, once I'm finished, will also be included in here as well. So what you would then do is you go ahead and click here to download the tool, right? Piece of cake. I recommend that you use it in Google Sheets rather than using it in Excel spreadsheet because that's what I made it in, but it'll work in both. All right, so from here, we have our risk management tool, right? So you go ahead and open up basically anything that's highlighted here at the top or shown in orange is what you're going to edit, right? So starting balance, you go ahead and enter. I'm just going to use 10,000 as an example. Set risk, you can use 1%, and again, you can see some of these values are changing here. I personally like to use 2%, but typically you would be doing about 1 to 5% per trade. I typically like to leave my set risk at 2%. Okay. So from here we have our date, asset, trade, entry, stop loss, our P&L, and our win-loss, and I'll show you guys how to enter some of these values. Weekly, again, our starting balance. I like to keep mine, my weekly profit at 5%. That's my goal. And then here we can update our number of trades, our risk reward, and our P&L. Monthly, similar, starting balance 10,000. My monthly profit goal is 20%. Number of trades, risk reward, P&L. We have our portfolio graph, which will be updated over time. And then, of course, our risk to reward ratio chart. That is a very valuable tool. This thing is more used as a reference, not something that you're going to continuously update, right? It's just more of something to refer to sort of see how things are coming along. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at a chart and we'll do just a couple examples. So here, let's say we want to take this short position, entry at about 25,300, stop loss at 25,800. You're targeting this low here for a move down, right? And so we'll go ahead and we're doing this ahead of time, right? The trade has not yet happened. And we're going to see, well, what should my position size be if I'm going to enter here with my stop loss here, right? So entry, stop loss, we'll go ahead and go over to our tool. We will enter the date, asset, trade is a short or long. In this case, it's a short. The entry is 25,300. The stop loss is 25,800. And we'll go ahead and watch the values change on the chart here. So our position size is 10,320. Okay. Now, some of you might be saying, well, our starting balance is 10,000. I can't enter a position of that size. In this case, that's where leverage would come into play, right? You could use some small leverage to make that value happen, as it's not very much over your starting balance. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, you're risking 2% of your opening balance, which is 10,000, which means that risk amount is $200. So your position size being 10,320, that would mean if price were to, let's say, go against your trade, you enter here and let's say this happens and you get stopped out, that means that you would only lose $200 by entering a position of $10,320, right? So your position size here is 10,320. If you were to get stopped out at this level here, you would only lose 2%, being $200. Okay, but for the sake of this example, let's say that it did play out well. We got the move up, something like this. And we came down and you decided to take profit at some of these levels here. At this point, we would go ahead and enter. Let's just say that you took a $300 profit at some point down. The win-loss, as a win, it's a 1. As a loss, it's a 0. So we'll go ahead and enter a 1. And now we can see that, a couple other values that got added here. Our total profits percent, our total P&L, our average trade risk-reward ratio, our average trade profit, and our win-loss ratio. Okay. So one thing I will highlight is the average risk-reward ratio. You can get your average over the course of all of your trades here, and you can also get the risk-reward per trade right here. And the reason that I have this value here is like the risk-reward for this trade technically is 4, but oftentimes, you'll end up taking profit, let's say here, here, and here, and here, all along the way down. And by taking profit early, the trade isn't going to actually be a risk-reward ratio of 4, right? It'll end up being a little bit lower. And that's where you'll get this value here that over time, when you're done and you put in your total P&L here, that will give you a true value, right? And typically you want this to be around 2, so you can use it as a reference to say, hey, this trade went well, but not as well as I would have liked. What were some things that I would look to adjust, right? So that's basically how that would work. You just go ahead and enter your date, asset, trade, entry, stop loss, and so on and so forth. We'll go ahead and do just one more example. Let's say we do this long trade here. Our entry is 23,300. And our stop loss is 22,600. So we'll go ahead and enter those into our chart here. Same date, 23. Asset is BTC. This trade is a long instead. The entry is, did we say is 24,300, right? 23,300 and 22,600. So 23,300 and 22,600. Now, this is what's pretty cool, right? So we'll see that a couple values have changed here. First of all, our opening balance is now 10,300, right? Because we made this money, which means that our set risk, even though it's still 2%, now the value has gone up. We can now risk $206, okay? But our position size is smaller. Now, some people may be a little confused by this, and I'll just briefly give you an overview as to why that is. The difference between here, right, and here are different. Okay, so if we look here, we can see that this is 2% and this is 3%. Right? This stop loss is bigger. So in order to still only, to hold this 2% risk amount, the tighter the stop loss, the larger the position size. So like, let's say if we tightened our stop loss here to, let's say 800, our position size goes up. If we tighten this to 23,000, our stop loss or our position size can go up. But nonetheless, we're still only risking, 2% of our opening balance, right? That's what's so key to understand here. All right, so from here, let's say this one we took a loss. Well, that loss would only be 206. So you go ahead and enter 206 because that's the amount that we're risking on that trade. Our profits are negative 2%, which is perfect because we're only risking 2%. So that makes sense. And we'd go ahead and put a 0 here that will then give us our win-loss ratio, right? So from here, let's say, we go on and we do 10 more trades. Right? We go on and do 10 more trades. We have all of these values all added in and fixed in and whatever. We then go over to our weekly number of trades. We would put 10. Our RR, let's just say, because we didn't go through all of this, let's just say our average RR for those 10 trades was 1.5, right? We don't actually have the real value, but let's just say it was 1.5. And our P&L is, oops, I'm going to have to just edit that there. Was 1.5, and our P&L is, let's just say that we did hit our P&L goal of 500. As a matter of fact, let's say we went over and we had a P&L of 600. Okay. So here we can see we hit our daily goal. We can see our new opening balance for the upcoming week here. We have our average weekly profits, our total profits, and so on and so forth. And again, now let's say that we do, 8 trades the next week and, 12 trades the following week and then 10 on the last one. And that way we can have 4 weeks, give us our month. Let's say that we had, again, I'm going to keep this really simple. Oops, here I'm just gonna have to I'll be sure that this is updated online. I apologize. I just have to do this very brief edit here. So yeah, we'd go ahead and enter let's just say we did hit our P&L goal that week, and I'm gonna keep it 1.5 just to keep things very simple for me. Let's say we hit our profit goal. Let's say we missed this one and we only had 500. And then let's say that, let's say this one we were a little bit shy again, but still pretty close to that profit goal. We can see here that, again, that goal is going up, but nonetheless, it is still only 5%, right? And that's because our opening balance is going up over time. So even though it's still 5%, that goal goes up over time, and this is how you actually become a profitable trader, is working in percentages. So here, let's go ahead and just do some quick math. $600, $1,200, $2,200. So we'll go over here, and again, for the first month, our average risk reward was 1.5. Oops, 1.5. And again, I'll have to just update this. I'll be sure that it's updated on the website as well. And the P&L, go ahead and enter. That would be 2,200. So we actually beat out our monthly profit goal. Number of trades, let's just say, I don't know, how many was it? 10, 20, 30, 40 trades. So we'll go ahead and enter 40. Okay. And then this is, again, and here, this would be our portfolio graph. We'll come back to that. But if we go here and see our number of trades, our risk reward is 1.5. Our P&L is 2,200. We can then kind of use this to gauge, how much money we should be making, right? And because we don't have, we don't have our win-loss ratio set on here. This is kind of where you would use this, right? Your average RR and your win-loss ratio. That's where you would come over here, and it could give you some like estimates on values. So like, for example, if you took 40 trades, over the course of a month, and you're risking 2%, your starting balance is 10,000 at the start of that month. You would go ahead and say, well, if my average risk reward is 1.5 and my average win-loss ratio is between, on average each month between 60% and 75%. And my win-loss or my risk-reward ratio is typically 1.5, meaning I make $300 on average per trade. These are the values that you should be profiting in every month, somewhere between $4,000 and $7,000, right? So in this case, we did have we did do 40 trades over the course of the month, right? Taking our value from here. Our profits, 22%, risk reward, 1.5, our P&L. So because we don't have our win-loss ratio, we can actually use this chart to backtrack what that would be. So 1.5 over the course of 40 trades, we would go to 2,200. So that would be somewhere in here, basically saying that our win-to-loss ratio that month was somewhere between 50 and 53%. Now think about that. You lost almost half of your trades, and you still made between $2,000 and $2,500 that month, right? So that's kind of what this tool is. It's just an estimate to give you some expectations as to how your trading is. And again, like, you can go over here and you can use your average risk reward and your win-loss ratio over time, or you can use the ones, let's just say like, per week, to see like per week what you should be making, or per month, right? Your risk reward ratio per month, if you just go ahead and calculate and put these values in here. At some point, I will have these automated, but they are not yet automated, right? So that's how this works. Super, super powerful tool. It's not something you have to update and keep a record of. This is just like a calculator to give you like an idea of what your trades kind of should be looking at, right? And then the last thing, of course, too, I'm just going to go ahead and put some random values in here. Then let's say you went on a losing streak. And of course, you're only ever going to lose 2%. So I'm pulling that value from over here. Okay, and then, you know, you kind of went back on winning some here. You know, sprinkle in a loss. So here's what's cool about this, right, is that, you know, this risk amount, it does change and go up over time to help you manage your portfolio, right? And then I just wanted to put that on here so we can go over to our graph and you can see, you know, trade 1, that was my balance. Trade 4, it's 5, you know, so on and so forth. By trade 17, this was my balance. By trade 23, this was my balance, you know, so on and so forth, right? So I just wanted to put in some values there so you guys could see the graph, you know, and how it updates itself, right? So we'll leave it at that. That is how you would use the risk management tool. That's what each of these values are. You'd update your daily as you go. Your weekly at the end of every week, right? You would go ahead and update these values. At the end of every month, update these values here. Take a look at your portfolio and see how it's running. And then again, this powerful calculator, this risk reward ratio calculator, to kind of give you an idea for the number of trades, whether it's per week or per month, you know, what kind of values you should be looking at based on a certain win to loss ratio to help, you know, set expectations for yourself, you know, at the end of every month, and kind of how much you want to, you know, look to make for yourself as a trader, right? So very, very powerful stuff here. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that because I want to keep this as short as possible, but I really hope you guys enjoy this tool. It is a very powerful tool, and I assure you, if you follow these values in your trades and you use this tool properly and religiously, you will become a profitable trader over time. That's what it's built to do. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and thank you guys for watching.